Today, the disinformation starts not immediately. It's coordinated ahead of time. And in fact, we saw it with the United States doing a deception almost as good as the first U.S. Army group level, high level deception on social media on the eve of the U.S. deployment of B-2 bombers over Iran. There are obviously two battlefields, right? There's the battlefield, the one where you get killed or kill, and there's the political battlefield. One thing I guess we still haven't learned, and tell me if I'm wrong, I'd love to hear that I am, how to deal with if insurgency. You have institutions, you have infrastructure, and you value what you have more highly. So therefore, I'm going to destroy those things. I'm going to give you the impression that I'm essentially desperate and that my life means nothing to me. And in the process, I'm going to use all kinds of campaigns, whether it's traditional media or social media, to undermine the political willpower for you to destroy me. Because if you were a dictatorship, or a monarchy, you could destroy me. Yes, it's true. It doesn't always work. Look at how poorly the United Kingdom executed its imperial military obligations in the 20th century. But all things being equal, none of these troublemakers would stand a chance. So what do?
War is a contest of will. We won every battle in Vietnam, but we lost the war because you lose the population who doesn't view the American interest there to fight a counterinsurgency for a government that's struggling for its own legitimacy. South Vietnam had many issues with corruption, things like that. So there's the complexity there, but something that interested me was the knowledge, right? So the IDF, the U.S. military, they are schools of thought from their beginning to their evolutions and way they think about things. I've talked many times to General David Petraeus, who had to rail against the institution because after Vietnam, of course, the U.S. military is like, we never want this again, and just threw away their lessons from the history of counterinsurgency. And General Petraeus put together a team to really dust off the counterinsurgency theory and doctrine, which is kind of the way we do things. And he had to fight amazing uphill battles between the military to even say that there is history here. That was where it worked, why it worked, what is it needed to work, and was the successful things like the surge